The 1980 Grand Prix season began in the Argentine in January. It ends here today at Watkins Glen in New York State with the maple leaves turning and a chilly atmosphere for Formula One after a swift dash down from last weekend's Canadian Grand Prix. It's the farewell race for last year's retiring world champion Jody Scheckter and the first race as world champion for his successor Alan Jones. And with contracts still to be agreed for 1981, everyone will be going as hard as they can to improve their position in the championship table and their chances for next year. Because behind Jones and Nelson Piquet, the two top men of 1980 whose places can't be challenged, it's still close in the championship with only 12 points spanning the next four. And it's a smoother, faster 3.7 mile lap at Watkins Glen this year for the bumpy track, which is ravaged by the bitter winter ice and snows just been completely resurfaced. And it certainly showed in practice. For Bruno Giacomelli, fastest of all for the first time in his short Grand Prix career, lapped over 2 seconds faster than last year's pole time, and for the first time since 1951, it's an Alfa Romeo at the head of the grid. There, on the left, in the red Alfa Romeo, Bruno Giacomelli with the pressure really on him. His first pole position, then Piquet, row 2, Reutemann and De Angelis, then Jones and René Arnoux, and in row 4, Pironi and Hector Ribaque in the second of the Brabhams. And now, on the warm-up lap, who better to take us round it than double American Grand Prix winner here at Watkins Glen, James Hunt.
Well, thank you, Murray. That was, of course, a long time ago. Forgotten most of that, but the circuit hasn't changed very much, and it's certainly for me, probably now with the Nürburgring gone from the calendar, the most difficult driver's track on the calendar. It provides a variety of challenges. It's probably one of the most enjoyable to drive, as long as you stay on the prepared surface. It's got a bad reputation for the barriers, which have been a bit bendy in the past, and of course some accidents. You wouldn't want to leave the track, but on it, it's certainly a great challenge. The cars have just come up through the chicane now. That was a fairly recent addition a few years ago to slow the cars down onto the straight. All that weaving about that you're seeing is, as you've no doubt been told several times, is the warming up of the tyres. I don't hold with that theory that it really gets a lot of heat in that self. I think that one of these days two people are going to be on the opposite legs and we're going to see them hit each other, which will be quite fun. But an early way to finish your race before everything starts. This is the difficult, fairly fast, about fourth gear corner at the end of the main straight. The cars are doing 180 miles an hour up into that corner. They just knock it down a couple of gears. They're coming down into a slightly slower third gear left-hand corner, long 180-degree corners, all these. There's plenty of room there, but they require a lot of setting up of the car in the corners. This is a right-hand, this is a second gear right-hander uphill that they're going. Requires a lot of setting up of the car into the corner and round it. Now, of course, that the championship's over, one might be inclined to think that the drivers are going to be taking it a bit quietly, but in simple terms, I could give you a whole lot of reasons why each individual driver has his various bits of motivation for doing well in this race. But in simple terms, basically, they're all racers, and they wouldn't be in it. And quite frankly, when the green light goes on, the fact of the matter is that they can't help themselves, and which is as it should be. So all these guys will be giving it the usual 105, 110% today. The fact that the championship's dead means nothing to anybody. Piquet obviously wants to put the matter straight as far as he's concerned. Jones naturally wants very badly to underline his championship win. He'll be in a relaxed mood, and that, of course, very often makes for better driving with the pressure off. So they'll all be hard at it. And young Giacomelli, of course, that's his first pole position in a Grand Prix. A very good effort here. The Alfa Romeo was undoubtedly well suited to this track because a powerful engine is definitely an advantage here, and they do have a big power advantage with over the other normally aspirated cars. So as they pull down into the last two corners, the difficult ones as they come on to finish this lap, there's a very fast left-hander followed by a nearly flat-out right-hander to come on for the start-finish straight. I'll hand you back to Murray Walker to take the start.
Well, it's cold at Watkins Glen, and despite the fact that the track has been resurfaced, there's a lot of dirt on the sides of it. The drivers will have to take it very easy. 59 laps, and in the opening lap, 199 miles on the left. Pole position for the first time in his career, Bruno Giacomelli, with well over 500 horsepower. Now, watch Giacomelli, watch Piquet on the right. Away they go. Alan Jones on the left coming up. He's right up alongside Reutemann. What a terrific start from Giacomelli. And Jones is through into second position as they go round the 90. The first turn, the right-hander. And somebody's off. That's a Williams car. That's a white car. Is it Alan Jones or is it Reutemann? If they go through, they're all... And the race car coming up at the back. But lap one, drama right at the beginning as they go up through the chicane. We'll look down the course hopefully in a minute and see who's leading. It's Giacomelli, and that looks like a Ligier behind him. It's not, it's a Brabham, it's Piquet, and Piquet trying to get through. Giacomelli cuts across, and so Bruno Giacomelli is leading a Grand Prix for the first time in his career. Nelson Piquet, the man who was so terrific in Canada, is in second position, and the third place man is Carlos Reutemann. So it must have been Alan Jones that went off on that first corner, because it was certainly a Williams car. There's Reutemann going round the right-hander in third position, the white car, and that looks like a blue and white Ligier behind him. Yes, just a flash of it there. It's Didier Pironi who is in fourth position. So lap one, Bruno Giacomelli. Right behind him, Nelson Piquet, with 3 wins already this season. There's the battle for the lead. Giacomelli, Piquet in second position. Then look for the white Williams of Carlos Reutemann. There it is, there is Reutemann. Pironi behind him, then De Angelis in fifth position in the Essex Lotus. And the first two coming up to complete lap one, and Alan Jones is definitely still in the race as they complete lap one with 58 laps still to go. But now Giacomelli is pacing it from the front. He's got a clear circuit in front of him, nothing to harass him, and he's had a lot of harassment in the past and got off a replay.
Yes, here we got the start again. Giacomelli made an absolutely perfect start. He got clean away, had to be doing 15 miles an hour virtually before anybody else had moved. Jones made a storming start in the third row. Here he comes down the inside, moving up to take a line, and we know that it was him who went off. He must have just dived in a little quick. He's on the dusty part of the track, and remember, of course, it's very cold weather here, and it's tough to get the tyres warm, so they'll all be sliding about a little bit more than one would expect. There's Jones on the right, off the track. De Cesaris behind him in the red Alpha. And quite a lot of sorting out. You see what a big traffic jam there is in the middle to back order of the field there as they go through. And there's Jones recovered, and he's in about 12th place, we think, there. So if he was setting off in 12th place, he's already started to move up the field there. He'll be really charging. We gather he's now up to 10th place already.
Yes, I counted them. That 22. That's Andrea De Cesaris off already, and it was De Cesaris who went off behind Alan Jones on the first right-hander. We're on lap 4 now. Alan Jones rejoined in 12th position. I counted them as they went through. There's Piquet in second position, Carlos Reutemann third, Pironi fourth, De Angelis fifth, Ribarque in sixth position, and John Watson in the McLaren in seventh place, and Derek Daly out of a race yet again. What an appalling season the Irishman's had in the Candy Tyrrell. He's had 4 terrible crashes, and now he's out of the race with the car looking okay, and Derek walking back. Lap 5 out of 59. Giacomelli pulling away a bit from Nelson Piquet, and that's De Cesaris' Alfa Romeo, his second Grand Prix, the young Italian who has driven in Formula 2 this season and done well in it, having won one Formula 2 race. And look at the way Bruno Giacomelli is going. This is only his second season of Grand Prix, and there's another Tyrrell. Well, it's a bad race for the Ken Tyrrell's team. Daly out of the race, and that's his teammate Jarier as we complete. And this is the battle for 6th. There's Reback, John Watson, and Alan Jones is up into 8th position. So on lap 8, Alan Jones, there are the first 6. Giacomelli, Piquet, Reutemann, Pironi, De Angelis, Ribarque. And on lap 8, Alan Jones has come through from 12th position to 8th.
Yes, that's terrific, Mike, because apart from being 8th, what more importantly, Jones is in touch with the leading bunch, really, because he's now on the tail of the whole leading bunch. Giacomelli is going away a little bit at the front, but apart from that, the bunch is moving pretty much in line astern, and if he's caught them up, hopefully we may see some good attacking driving from him to try and come through that bunch.
And Carlos Reutemann now challenging Nelson Piquet, and Reutemann is fastest so far, because early on in the race he did a lap in 1 minute 36.5, which is some 4 seconds inside the 1978 lap record put up by Jarier. The battle for second, it's Piquet, Reutemann. Just behind them is Didier Pironi, and then behind Pironi, De Angelis, and there is the Italian. There, Pironi, De Angelis, another lap completed, and so with 16 laps completed, and that is Riccardo Patrese. And that is a problem of the catch fencing.
Yes, that is the trouble with catch fencing. He appears to be trapped in the car there. I don't think he's suffered any damage, and nor has the car much. But of course, that could be quite a serious situation if, for instance, the car was on fire, or there was some other disaster whereby he needed quick rescue, quick work. The fencing can really tangle a driver up.
And there, with Bruno Giacomelli way ahead now, because he's built up a lead of some 5 seconds as Riccardo Patrese gets out of the car, and you can see he is perfectly okay, but it must have been a very nasty experience with that netting roof over him. And that is Arnoux's car. It's got to be Arnoux, because Jabouille, of course, is in hospital, and Alan Jones is speeding up. Fastest lap, 1 minute 34.9, and that's over a second and a half quicker than his teammate Carlos Reutemann's previous fastest lap, as we look at the battle for second position, and Reutemann waving his hand at Piquet in front of him, saying, let me through, but I don't imagine that Nelson Piquet's about to do that.
No, Piquet's been making himself really very difficult. He's been taken to the inside line whenever Reutemann's been threatening, which at this stage of the Grand Prix, when you're not leading, I always think is a little bit naughty. He can fight Reutemann from the conventional line. You really, if he can't fight him from there, he shouldn't do. But he's in second place and he's holding it. I suppose it's his to defend in whatever way he wants, so long as he does nothing dangerous. But it's a good battle. Reutemann's certainly getting a little bit upset with his tactics.
Second, third, fourth and fifth, because Piquet followed by Reutemann, second and third. And then, just behind them, you can see the battle between Pironi and De Angelis in a moment. There goes the Brabham chased, and there is Pironi, the Frenchman who is going to Ferrari after this race, and he is now in fourth position ahead of Elio De Angelis. Behind Elio De Angelis is Jones, and Jones is fastest. He's gone round faster again.
Yes, see Piquet there taking the inside of that corner, making Reutemann. Oh, they're very close, and Reutemann's being forced to go the long way round, which makes it virtually impossible. And meanwhile, because they're messing each other about, Pironi has just about caught them up again, and that of course is the problem. But Piquet taking the inside line, he's not quite as quick. And now Pironi is threatening. We got the whole group all together. This is terrific stuff.
It's even more terrific because now into the picture comes Alan Jones, because the fifth of those cars, second, third, fourth, fifth and sixth, is Alan Jones, who has stormed up. He is now closing up on Elio De Angelis in the Essex Lotus, who is behind Pironi, and there is Reutemann in third position. So we're looking at the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth and the sixth as they go up through the chicane, and Hector Ribac in the Brabham, who was in sixth position, has gone into the pits. So Piquet on his way, pulling away a little from Carlos Reutemann, who has got right behind him Didier Pironi. Then Elio De Angelis, and the Essex Lotus cars are going well in this race. They're both still in the running because Mario Andretti, who has had such an appalling season, is in the race in about eighth position. And there is Ribac rejoining, coming out of the pits, Giacomelli, the leader. Behind him in the background, Jody Scheckter, who qualified, of course. There he is, the 1979 world champion in his last drive, because this is his last Grand Prix before he retires. And there is the battle for second. Piquet, Reutemann, round the 90, then downhill a bit. It's still Pironi right behind them, the Ligier holding on as they go up through the chicane. There's Pironi. There behind Pironi is Alan Jones. Alan Jones closing up on Pironi and ahead of De Angelis then. So Alan Jones has started to move through the field. He's really got the bit between his teeth. The world champion has carved a great slice of the circuit, as it were, and now he is closing right up. Reutemann in third position. There's Pironi. So it's a V12 Alfa Romeo in the lead. And then the Ford V8 powered cars behind him, but different makes. The Brabham there of Piquet. The Williams of Carlos Reutemann in third position. The Ligier of Pironi. Then Alan Jones. Now, is Alan Jones going to be able to close up on these three cars in front of him? Second. The third, Reutemann. The fourth, Pironi. The fifth, the world champion.
Yes, of course, as they get closer and closer to Alan's speed, he gets nearer the front of the race. Each car individually gets a little bit harder to pass. But he's certainly charging well, and he's got all the pressure off him now. He's got the championship under his belt. He'll for sure be driving with a great deal of confidence.
But let us not forget, as we watch this terrific... And Alan Jones coming out of Pironi's slipstream. And Piquet off at the 90, into the catch fencing. His car stops. I can't see whether it's damaged. It probably isn't, because he wasn't going very fast.
I don't know what happened there, Murray. He just suddenly seemed to go off the road. I don't know whether something went wrong with the car. Whether he just got a little bit wide, because if you get a little bit offline, especially on this where they've resurfaced the track there, it gets very slippery. There's a lot of dust and rubber dust as the race progresses, and if one wheel out of line, yeah, he's getting out. He's fine. He didn't really. I'm sure the car isn't even damaged. The fence just stopped, and he was virtually stopped already.
Lap 25 coming up to half distance. Nelson Piquet second in the World Championship, and he seems to be determined to go on, waving his hand as if to say, come on over, give me a shove, get me out of here. Now, what's he going to do?
I think he'd be glad he made the mistake.
Now, the question is, will he be disqualified if he keeps going? Because he will have had outside assistance. Now, this looks like a replay. Let's watch Piquet very carefully as he goes round the 90. Yes, there is Reutemann.
He was a little bit wide going in there, Murray, as you saw. And you saw the puff of dust. I told you about the dust and the dirt being nice and slippery there, making it a bit awkward. He got on the slippery stuff. There was a bit of a puff off his tyres, and that was his trouble. He just went in a bit wide and made error. There was a lot of pressure with those four cars, all a bit quicker than him, breathing down his neck.
So, lap 25, Piquet out of the running as far as World Championship points are concerned. Maybe he's going to get back. But Carlos Reutemann now is up into second place, and behind him Didier Pironi. In fourth position now, Alan Jones, and there they go into another lap with Elio De Angelis behind them in fifth place. And sure enough, Nelson Piquet is getting a push. Watch the back wheels and see if they stop, because if they do, or slow up, that will mean he's dropped the clutch and he's trying to get a start. Jody Scheckter being passed by Pironi, and Piquet is under power, no doubt about that. Now, is he going to try and rejoin the race, or is he just driving back to the pits?
Well, he won't be very competitive anyway. He's lost over a lap. I was just thinking, of course, he'll be glad he got that mistake out of his system this year. Said he's ready to start with a nice clean slate for his challenge next year on the championship, because with the car going so well, he must, at this particular moment, look like the firm favourite for the championship next year.
Indeed, Nelson Piquet's star very much in the ascendant, and there is Giacomelli. And I was saying earlier on, we were watching that terrific battle for second place. Let us not forget that Bruno Giacomelli is driving the race of his life in an Alfa Romeo, and that is a mark which came out of racing in 1951. In the background, there is Mark Sura, and he's about to be lapped by the second place man Reutemann, and Jones taking Pironi. Pironi moves over. Jones in fourth place, and Alan Jones is on his way. There is no doubt at all about the fact that Alan Jones intends to have a go for victory in this race, though he'll have a job to catch Giacomelli. Let's watch it.
Yes, Jones will be trying to work. It's one of these circuits where to overtake somebody, you need to plan your build-up. The easy place here to overtake is at the end of the main straight, obviously, to get a toe up it. And to do that now, they're getting towards the end of the lap now. Alan Jones, from now until the chicane, will be trying to position himself so that when he goes through the chicane, he's about 5-10 yards behind the Ligier, and hopefully going a little bit faster than him. So he'll be working hard to keep it close. He's very well placed at the moment. They've got the left and the right, then down to the 90 to go. He's perfectly placed now, because he's got to have it exactly right, because of course Pironi will have the advantage of when Jones pulls out of his slipstream, Pironi will still be following the others.
There goes Reutemann past Sura. There goes Jones looking from behind Pironi's slipstream.
Yeah, this should help him. The back marker being in the way should help Jones, because he may just hold Pironi up a little bit through the chicane.
And he's trying again all the time. Alan Jones is trying to get through. But
he's perfectly placed now. You see
Now.
the ideal 5 yards behind him going onto the straight. He'll get a good toe. Back
Sura moves over, lets Pironi through. Jones right up alongside Pironi. Jones is through, he's got ahead, he's got his front wheels ahead of Pironi. Pironi moves ahead of Sura, and Alan Jones in the Saudi Leyland Williams moves up into third position behind his teammate Carlos Reutemann, and there is Reutemann. But the fastest man on the circuit is Bruno Giacomelli, who has just gone round in 1 minute 34.8, over 130 miles an hour, and 5 seconds faster than the 1978 lap record put up by Jean-Pierre Jarier. And that is Nelson Piquet. He was obviously just driving back to give himself a lift back to the pits, telling Bernie Ecclestone there in the dark glasses behind the man. And there is Giacomelli. Giacomelli has now got a lead of some 11 seconds over the second place man.
Incidentally, for those viewers who are wondering whether Reutemann will help his teammate Jones past, particularly with the championship finished, believe you me, there will be no help or assistance from Reutemann. He'll be fighting every inch of the way, and Jones will have to treat him like any other rival. In fact, probably a tougher one than most, because of course people driving the same car in the same team, there's personal pride at stake there, because the one person you always have to beat is your own teammate if you possibly can, because you can't after the race turn around and say, well, he had a better car than me. So they'll be fighting particularly hard on a point of pride for that place.
There is another quick lap from Giacomelli, and this is only his 23rd Grand Prix. The man who was Formula 3 champion of Britain in the Shell Sport Series in 1979, who was Formula 2 champion of Europe in 1978, who had a pretty thin season in 1979, but who joined the Alfa Romeo team. And now he's coming up to Rupert Keegan, the British driver in the Williams, which has now been updated to the latest specification. And look back along the circuit, you can see the gap between Giacomelli, who has gone round the 90, and there's the second, and Jones is now right with Carlos Reutemann, pulling away from Pironi and challenging for second.
Jones again has got himself in just the right position. They're going sweeping it down into the chicane now. He wants to brake a little earlier than Reutemann and then accelerate a bit earlier, so that he's sweeping through, and he looks to have done it just right. He's in the perfect position to get the toe. He was through the chicane very quickly, and they're in equal cars with the advantage of the toe. Jones will walk past Reutemann on the straight. Now look at that, he pulls out of the toe. Reutemann wisely making him go the long way round, so that Jones on the outside for the corner, but he's already that car length clear and is able to take second place and take the corner the way he wants. We can now see if he can go away from his teammate.
And it's still Pironi in fourth place, but now with a clear circuit in front of him, can Alan Jones close the gap between himself and Bruno Giacomelli? 12th on lap 1, second on this lap, and he is now only got Bruno Giacomelli on lap 30 ahead of him, and between him and his 6th Grand Prix win of 1980. But Giacomelli is well in a rhythm. The car is obviously reliable. It's going extremely well. He's not being harassed. He's had a lot of trouble in previous races trying to get past people and being too impetuous, and he's gone off. But look at this battle for second position. There's Reutemann, who is third, and behind him Pironi, who is in fourth position.
Yes, well, Giacomelli seems to have a clear advantage. He was a lot faster than the others in practice. He was about 8/10 quicker than the next man, and it would require some turnaround for Jones to be able to do anything about him. And of course Giacomelli's probably been stroking a little bit. He's got about a 10 to 12 second lead. We haven't had the watch on it just recently, but we'll get the watch on it, and then we'll see if Jones is managing to make any impression on him. But I suspect that if Jones does make any impression, Giacomelli's probably got a little bit in hand and be able to speed up a bit to respond.
The positions as Reutemann comes up alongside Alan Jones, and they're going to lap Jarier, both of them. Is Reutemann going to retake second place? No, he's not. So it's Giacomelli leading Alan Jones in second place. Reutemann is in third position. In fourth position it's Pironi. Fifth is Elio De Angelis. Sixth is John Watson, having another storming drive. And in seventh position behind him, the second of the two Ligiers, Jacques Lafitte, the Frenchman, at the wheel. But This is the excitement in the US Grand Prix East on the resurfaced circuit here at Watkins Glen. The battle for second between the two Williams teammates.
Oh, it's nice to see Reutemann responding so well. Alan Jones seemed to come up to him and get past him quite easily, and quite honestly, on that form I expected Alan to go away, but Reutemann's responding very well indeed and giving Alan a real fight at the moment.
And Pironi is holding on well, second, third and fourth, with only about 4 or 5 seconds between them. And they're over half distance in this race, 59 lap race, 200 miles. There is the leader. There is Bruno Giacomelli, who seems to have it beautifully sized up. His teammate, Andrea de Cesaris, in his second Grand Prix, out of the running. And there's the difference between Giacomelli and Jones. 11.9 seconds, and Jones has still got almost half a race to close that gap if he can, as Giacomelli comes up to the 1978 on lap 32, comes up to the 1978 world champion, Mario Andretti. And
oh, he's stopping.
Giacomelli's slowing down. Now, Villeneuve goes straight past the Alfa Romeo, and there's a flash from the back. It looked as though for a moment as though the Alfa Romeo was on fire because there was a flash of something. James?
Yeah, something. It looks like an engine blow-up, I think. Fairly straightforward. Jones sweeps by into the lead. What bad luck on Giacomelli. He'd done everything right. He was doing a very competent, straightforward job and controlling the race, and that, unfortunately, is the way it goes in motor racing.
Well, this time, nobody can blame Giacomelli, but there is the new race leader, the reigning world champion, who clinched it last weekend in Canada, Alan Jones. But the second of the two Williams cars, Reutemann, is in the same position in this race in America as he was last weekend as they complete another lap in Canada. And if they go on the way they're going now, for the rest of this 59 lap race with Pironi there behind them in third position, it means that Frank Williams is going to have surely the best season ever for a Formula One team, because he is going to have had the World Championship for the driver, the World Championship for the constructors, and in the last two Grand Prix, first and second, and not a single breakdown for both two team cars in the last 8 Grand Prix. A quite incredible performance. Jones past Charrier, who, don't forget, has been into the pits. This is lap 39, so there's another 20 laps to go. And that is John Watson. Well, it's been a very checkered Grand Prix season for John Watson. He was in 5th position at the time he went into the pits there, and he wasn't getting out of the car, so maybe he's going on.
Yeah, it looks as if they were signalling the end of his day, but shame that John Watson hasn't been able to get a result. He's had such a nice revival at the end of this most terrible season for him. Yes, he's unstrapped himself, getting back in the car, but I don't think that'll be for any serious motor racing now. By the time they've strapped him back in again, he'll be well gone.
So lap 50, that's Villeneuve, lap 51. Villeneuve's hit something, and look at that great puff of dust and smoke, and the marshal running across to the Armco. Villeneuve's all right. That's the Ferrari, and look at the left rear tyre. That's it. It looks as though a tyre's gone again, and Villeneuve is obviously quite all right. He's had some really hairy crashes this season, and I'm sure he'll be glad to see the last of it. But his teammate, Jody Scheckter, the 1979 world champion, in his very last Grand Prix before he retires, qualified well enough to get round about the 18th or 19th position on the grid in his Ferrari. He's going to complete the American Grand Prix if he goes on the way he is now, and so for that matter is that man, number 27, Alan Jones, on lap 57. So there's only this lap and 2 more to go between this and his 6th Grand Prix win of 1980. And Alan Jones coming up now, the reigning world champion, coming up to lap the previous world champion. And as you see, Jacques Lafitte has moved up to 5th, and René Arnoux in the sole turbocharged Renault is in 6th position. And the 1980 champion rushes past the 1979 champion and starts his last lap but 1. So Jones now goes into that lap round the 90, away up to the chicane for the 58th time. Behind him, Reutemann. Behind Reutemann is Didier Pironi. Behind Didier Pironi in 4th position, Elio De Angelis. And Jones has lapped everybody up to De Angelis, who is in 4th place, with Lafitte in 5th and 6th place. Alan Jones ending the season in triumph, but it's going to be, I'm sorry to say, a rather messy ending to the World Championship Series of 1980, because there is a political battle raging between FOCA, the Formula One Constructors Association, and FISA, the international governing body of the sport, about how the specification for cars for next season should go. There's a big argument. I won't go into all the details of it, but there is an eyeball-to-eyeball, head-to-head confrontation between these two powerful bodies, and next season is absolutely wide open, and we can only hope that with 3 months to go that there is not going to be some dreadful schism as a result of which Formula One, the greatest formula of them all, suffers to the detriment of the constructors, the organisers, the drivers, and we enthusiasts. And of course the sponsors, who won't like it very much. And Alan Jones must be liking this, because now he is into his last lap, lap 59. Reutemann still within striking distance of him, and Alan Jones on the last lap.
Yes, lovely way to wind up the season. Alan is a little bit of a disappointing finish to the championship. It would always have been nice for him to have won it in style last weekend, and it was sad that Piquet broke down and handed it to other plates. So of course it's nice to be able to round it off like this. He must be feeling well pleased to round off his season of triumph with a win in the last race, assuming of course that he gets it to the line. It's been a sad year from the point of view of accidents. Formula One safety has not improved. Our thoughts go out to for Patrick Depailler, who was killed in the middle of the season in a testing accident, and for his family. Clay Regazzoni with that tragic accident that's left him so terribly injured, with the back injuries that he received at Long Beach. And of course Jean-Pierre Jabouille, who had a very nasty accident himself last weekend, but I gather that his legs, although broken, are not too serious, and that he's on the mend and will be back driving again for the start of next season. But that's the sort of accident level we can't afford to have, and while the powers that be argue and fight, let's hope that as well as improving the formula and improving the racing for entertainment, they'll also improve the safety for the drivers and the participants in general.
7 wins for Frank Williams' team, 6 of them here for Alan Jones, 1 for Reutemann. Up to the checkered flag, and past it goes Alan Jones. What a wonderful way to finish his 1980 World Championship year on the highest note possible. A win, yet another one, for this gritty Australian, who is following in the wheel tracks of Sir Jack Brabham, the 3 times Australian world champion of the past. And Alan Jones, of course, goes into the winter on a very high note. So Jones wins, Reutemann second, third Pironi, Elio De Angelis in the Essex Lotus fourth, then the Ligier of Jacques Lafitte, and in a fine 6th place, Mario Andretti has finally finished a race and got a point. And the World Championship positions, Alan Jones pulls away, Piquet still second, Reutemann holds his 3rd position, Lafitte moves up to 4th, Didier Pironi, his teammate, in 5th place before he goes to Ferrari, and another Frenchman in 6th position, René Arnoux. So that ends the 1980 World Championship season. Now the designers work, the drivers rest a little, and we, all of us, look forward to 1981.